Fixing some old farmer's truck for free. Your own roof's still leaking. That voice laced with mockery cut through the heavy Georgia heat like a rusted blade. Ben Carter didn't flinch. He just kept working, one knee in the dirt, wrench in hand, fingers black with grease. The bolts were stubborn, but he was patient. He always was. Across the road, his old neighbor Dobbs stood with arms folded, a smirk on his face, like helping someone for free was the punchline to a joke. Ben didn't answer, just gave the bolt another turn. In the car, his son Logan sipped his juice quietly, eyes fixed on his dad like he was watching Superman fix a tractor. The next morning, the sarcasm dried up quick. Because when three sleek black SUVs rolled down their sleepy street and parked in front of Ben's rundown house, it wasn't a joke anymore. Curtains twitched. Dobbs nearly dropped his coffee. "Who the hell is that?" he muttered. Why would government convoys show up for a broke mechanic with nothing but a rusty toolbox and a kid in daycare? But if you asked Ben Carter, he'd just tell you he was making breakfast same as every morning. He never planned on being a local mystery. Used to be Sergeant Ben Carter, lead mechanic for the 1st Armored Division. Now, just a 36-year-old widowed dad trying to fix busted tractors, chase daycare payments, and patch his leaking roof before the next rainstorm. Melissa had been gone 3 years. Cancer doesn't care how strong or kind you are, and she'd been both his anchor in the chaos. After she died, he left the Army for good. The military offered support, but Logan needed a father more than Uncle Sam needed another wrench turner. These days, Ben's life was a rhythm. Fix what's broken. Make enough to scrape by. Get Logan to Miss Janine's. Read a bedtime story. Repeat. No time for grief, anymore, just momentum. Evenings were the hardest, though. That's when the ghosts crept in. Late-night talks with Melissa, deployment scars, Logan whispering "Daddy" at the funeral with tears in his eyes. But Ben carried on, because good dads show up even when they're dead tired and running on fumes. His pride wasn't in money, it was in doing things right. Fixing a neighbor's busted mower. Delivering drywall after midnight. Changing tires on a highway shoulder with an empty gas tank. He didn't do it for applause. He did it because his first sergeant once told him, "You help people because it's right, not because it pays." So when he saw that old truck steaming by the side of the road, he didn't hesitate. Logan was humming in the back seat. The sun was setting, and Ben, without a second thought, pulled over and grabbed his tool bag. The man standing beside the truck didn't say a word. He was older, tall, with calm gray eyes and a jacket stained with dirt. Just nodded. Silent. Watchful. The hood was up. The engine looked like it hadn't been loved since the 80s. Ben went to work. Corroded terminals. Bad timing. The works. Still, he kept at it. And the old man just watched. Not like a stranded driver, but like a man taking mental notes. Then, of course, came Dobbs again. Walking by. Snickering. "Fixing strangers' trucks now, Carter? Patch your own damn roof first." Ben didn't even blink. Just tightened another bolt and kept his focus. Because he knew people like Dobbs measured life in money, in appearances. And Ben? He measured it in meaning. 40 minutes later, the truck roared back to life. Ben patted the hood. "She'll get you home." The man finally spoke. "You didn't ask my name." Ben shrugged. "Didn't need to." The man smiled faintly. "But I won't forget yours." And just like that, he drove away. That night, Ben couldn't sleep. Something about that guy stuck with him, not what he said, but how he carried himself, like a man used to command. The next morning, Ben was making breakfast, slicing a soft apple for Logan, sipping weak coffee, when he heard it gravel crunching. Engines. 3 black SUVs again. Right outside his house. Government plates. Tinted windows. That kind of quiet presence that didn't need flashing lights to mean business. Ben stepped outside, dish towel over his shoulder, heart pounding. A tall man in plain clothes walked up the path. Posture straight. Eyes sharp. "Mr. Carter," he said, opening a leather folder. "I'm Lieutenant Colonel Samuel Whitaker. We're with the Veteran Personnel Outreach Division. Someone you met yesterday would like to speak with you." Then out stepped the man from the truck. No longer dusty and silent. Now he wore a crisp gray blazer and the air of someone who had shaped battles and signed orders. "Ben Carter," he said. "I'm General Nathaniel Caldwell. Retired. Yesterday, you fixed my truck without asking who I was. And that's exactly why I'm here. They sat at Ben's wobbly kitchen table between a stack of unpaid bills and a kid's crayon drawing. Caldwell slid an envelope across. You didn't just fix a truck. You proved a principle. One this country's been missing. Ben didn't touch the envelope. What kind of offer, he asked. Caldwell leaned in. One that changes everything for you and Logan. Inside that envelope, a job, a program, a new mission. Not in the military, but for the country. A pilot initiative veteran technical corps where former service members would rebuild America's critical infrastructure. Real pay, real benefits, real purpose, all rooted in the kind of integrity no degree could teach. You were the first person in 3 states who stopped to help me, Caldwell said. Didn't ask for payment. Didn't know who I was. That told me everything I needed to know. Ben opened the envelope. It felt like a lifeline. He thought about Logan, about their creaky house, about the way Melissa used to believe in him no matter what. I didn't think anyone noticed people like me anymore, he said softly. We do, Caldwell replied. And now we need you to lead. 6 months later, Ben was in Atlanta, surrounded by fellow vets mechanics, medics, technicians all rebuilding their lives while learning how to rebuild a country. It was tough. The systems were new. He hadn't studied in years. But grit is muscle memory, and Ben had plenty of it. He stayed late, helped others, led by example. And when graduation day came, he wasn't just handed a certificate, he was handed a leadership role. Back home, Logan had a new school. They had a rental with a solid roof. Ben built a sandbox out back with his own hands. He still fixed things, but now it wasn't just to get by. It was because he could, because people counted on him. His new role had him coordinating infrastructure repairs across rural Georgia. Power lines, water systems, emergency fleets, the invisible veins of the country, finally getting attention from people who knew how to fix them. 1 year later, he was invited to Washington, D.C., not as a case study, but as a voice. He stood before Congress in a gray suit that still felt strange and told the truth. I didn't need a handout, he said. Just a chance to serve again. His words didn't need polish. They needed sincerity. And the room listened. The program grew. More veterans joined. More cities launched chapters. Ben kept working, turning down interviews, refusing to turn his story into spectacle. I didn't fix that truck to be remembered, he told one reporter. I fixed it because someone once fixed mine. In towns across the country, Nebraska, Louisiana, Appalachia veterans found purpose again, rebuilding what others ignored. And Ben? He quietly became the blueprint. A mentor. A symbol. Not because he was loud, but because he never stopped showing up. And still, every night, he made it home for dinner with Logan. Still read bedtime stories. Still swung by Mr. Dobbs to fix the heater when it broke, because service isn't about status. It's about who you are. That envelope Caldwell gave him still sits in his office drawer. A reminder that sometimes change starts in the dirt by the side of a road. Not with fireworks, but with a quiet choice to do the right thing. General Caldwell called it invisible service. The kind of moment that wouldn't make the news, but could rebuild a nation. And he kept telling that story to Congress. We don't just need to thank veterans, he said. We need to trust them again. Let them lead. Ben Carter never wanted fame. He wanted purpose. And he got it. In steel-toed boots. In broken towns. In kids like Logan growing up watching their parents do right even when it's hard. So, here's the question: have you ever helped someone just because it was the right thing to do? Or has someone done that for you? If so, share it. Because stories like these, they don't just inspire. They build futures. One act at a time.